We did not realize that we were starting a tradition here.
The Corps and Virginia Tech appreciate the fact that they have Skipper.
Skipper? It's loud, I know that.
I mean, that thing is huge, it's loud, shooting it off after every score.
An uncomparable experience to anything that I've done here at Virginia Tech so far.
I think you look at it or you hear it more than anything, and you think that's Virginia Tech, that's Virginia Tech football.
It's become much, much bigger than we could have ever possibly hoped for or even imagined.
You can see the underpinnings of proud American tradition throughout our entire campus, which I think is part of what makes Virginia Tech unique. Founded as a all-male military school.
The Corps of Cadets is a source of pride for Virginia Tech, but obviously beyond that, it's a functional execution of this university.
They still recognize the history piece of what that institution and university is. The Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University in the 1950s and 1960s was one of the core elements of what that institution was, a Corps of Cadets. But see, that goes back to the Commonwealth of Virginia. You know, you have it at UVA, you have that very presidential reverence, that very governmental reverence, you know, political almost in nature. But at Virginia Tech, you actually have the soldier and the war portion of it. I think the Corps of Cadets is really very, very unique in that light.
The Corps has always been kind of the thread of Virginia Tech. It's like a military school from way back. They're the best and the brightest. They're always clean cut, well shaven. They do so much in so many ways. At Prosum that I may serve, that's them to the Corps. Just a special group of men and women.
Never has the impact of the Corps felt more than on a football Saturday.
I love the football games. I absolutely love them. The VPI Corps would march down the streets and march into the stadium, form on the field like they do at Army and Navy.
When you see visiting fans at Lane Stadium and they see it for the first time, you can't help but respect the Corps because you know what those guys are about.
And then they all file into the south end zone stands and they're right there on top of the game.
How many times you ever gone into a place and everyone in the place is moving? Fans, cheerleader, band members, alumni, everyone.
Their undying support is what makes it special. A lot of places have people that are there to cheer you on, but our Corps is there no matter what. With vigor, too, not just to relax and watch the game. They're there to participate. They're not there to be entertained, they're there to help.
Yeah, they're a massive part of game day, before game, obviously, and then during it too.
The cadets, they're very special to us. I know as soon as we come running out, everybody went straight to the cadets and we hop right into the stands with them and just let them get excited and pump us up.
Not only does the Corps make a tremendous amount of noise and impact the game, they're also part of the pregame pageantry and making more noise than we believe any other field or stadium in the country does.
Skipper, it's loud, I know that.
I mean, that thing is huge, it's loud, the big flume of smoke that comes out of it's pretty cool. It is a neat tradition.
On pressure coming, and it's blocked! Touchdown for Virginia Tech!
The Corps and Virginia Tech appreciate the fact that they have Skipper.
The Skipper is a bad machine.
Shooting it off after every score.
Turns it up and turns it on. Touchdown.
There really isn't a good way to describe what a night game is at Lane Stadium. Once that night game starts and we fire the shot for the national anthem and get everything rolling, people are just exploding.
I think you look at it or you hear it more than anything, and you think that's Virginia Tech. That's Virginia Tech football, part of the soundtrack of Saturdays.
Skipper is loud. It represents what Tech is about.
It's an uncomparable experience to anything that I've done here at Virginia Tech so far. I mean, this is going to be something that all of us will remember for the rest of our lifetime.
And it kind of caught me by surprise, you know. I knew that they fired the cannon after we scored. I just, you know, we were in the middle of a game, the excitement of scoring, and then all of a sudden, what was that? Another cool tradition that our people take a lot of pride in.
Skipper the cannon, a 10-man crew responsible for the upkeep and repair of the cannon, which made its debut in 1963.
Over the years, the cadets have had a lot of fun with this cannon.
Load. Ram. Kick.
So tradition at Virginia Tech is something that I think is really important to all of us. With the Virginia Tech Corps Cadets, specifically Skipper Crew, we're all a big family and we all do it to honor anyone else that's ever been a part of Skipper Crew.
Those guys take a lot of pride in it. Those guys that load it and pull it and bring it out there to the field and then have to move it to the practice field. I think it's a pretty cool tradition. I've never seen anything like it anywhere else.
And there's currently only 17 members on crew between over 1,000 cadets in the Corps of Cadets in total. You're only allowed to try out as a freshman, and if we don't think you're going to be able to handle the kind of things that we do on a day-to-day routine, then it's not going to work out.
The amazing thing to me is the professionalism of the cannon crew now. The firing system is amazing. Basically, it's a .22 shell aimed down into the cannon, and you pull a cord and it snaps down right onto the .22 shell and fires it. Very reliable.
Fire!
During the whole game, I'm with the skipper crew. I just love those guys that are assigned to the skipper.
To be the gun captain for Skipper Crew, there's a lot of, I guess, weight on my shoulders, but every member of Skipper Crew could theoretically do my job. That's why there's no special rank for me. I'm still a cadet artillery sergeant, and all of the other juniors on Skipper Crew are that same rank. This is my 3rd season of doing this now, and some of the seniors here have now been doing it for 4 seasons, so it's just kind of a going process, I guess, and we all love what we're doing and making sure we're safe and having fun.
We had to figure out, well, how do you build a cannon?
I looked in the back of, I think it was Popular Mechanics, and there was how to build a cannon. So I sat down and wrote a little letter and ordered the plans for a cannon. I came here originally to be involved in spacecraft design.
Now, let me get this straight.
This is a real thing here.
Let me get this straight. You built this.
I built, yeah, sure. I built this from Vietnam. I called it in.
I mean, the scope of the engines and what have you, this is incredible.
Oh, I know, yeah.
You really don't, you know, when you see it launch on television, you don't get an idea of the true scope and size of this thing. I mean, it's awesome.
Why did they have to build a Saturn V? We needed to do everything at once. The whole thing would go to the moon.
So this was the shortcut.
It was a shortcut. It was, yeah. Von Braun wanted to do it that way. So he had these engines in development back in the 1950s, and he was ready to go. As it turned out, it was like us with the skipper. We were in the right place at the right time. He was in the right place at the right time. Some things are just meant to be.
You know, but the key of all those stories was one thing. and that is everything that we did had to do with the spirit of the Corps.
Our squadron, Squadron A of that year, of the class of '64, we're still very, very close. Ben and I and George, when he was with us, we had this story that will continue on and on forever. As long as there's a Virginia Tech, I think somebody will be telling this story in one way or the other.
Skipper was born in 1962 in Roanoke, Virginia at the annual VMI VPI football game, which was called at that time the Military Classic of the South.
Virginia Military Institute was our arch rival and had been for many, many years. Of course, they had a cadet corps and we had a cadet corps, and we would all wear our dress uniforms and march through Roanoke.
And on that day, after they entered the stadium, they brought in Little John.
VMI had a little mortar. It was very small, and they would drag it in and fire it off.
And it would make a perfect circle going up to the sky in smoke. Then, like kids, their corps would chant, "Where's your cannon?
Where's your cannon? Where's your cannon?" That kind of irritated us a little bit.
At that moment, I looked at Sonny Hickam and he looked at me, and we both said, that is the last time that's going to happen.
I think what we wanted to do was to leave something behind that would enhance the story of our own cadet corps. And so it formed in our mind that, of course, we needed a cannon. We decided that if we have a cannon, it's going to be a brass cannon. So that's decision number one.
We had to figure out, well, how do you build a cannon?
I looked in the back of, I think it was Popular Mechanics, and there was how to build a cannon. So I sat down and wrote a little letter and ordered the plans for a cannon.
Sonny happened to be in engineering. They decided to make a class project to make a wooden mold, which you have to have if you're going to form a barrel. We sat it down on the table and we said, you know, we're going to take that barrel and we're going to have 16 company and squadron meetings. And we said, now we need two things. We need $1 from every member in this squadron, and we need all the brass you've got. Every single cadet, 1,700 people, put brass into boxes in 16 different companies and squadrons. But we were still short of money a little bit. I walked into General Shavy's office, the Commandant of Cadets, and I said, sir, I need you to put me on the regimental staff next year so that I can have a conduit to the alumni, because we want to build the biggest game cannon in the world. He said, you can get it done by Thanksgiving next year? I said, yes, sir. After that happened, I was able to communicate with alumni on behalf of the Corps, and we were able to raise some alumni funds as a result of that.
When the cannon got made, Ben comes to me and says, how are we going to fire this thing? I have no clue. So one of our other class members, his name was George Fox, I was telling George, I still have stuff left over from when I built rockets in Coalwood. I thought about it a little bit and I thought, what made my rockets blow up? And we were sitting there in the cafeteria and I looked across and there sat these squeezed ketchup bottles. And I went, we'll use those. We'll fill those with gunpowder. I'll stick a fuse in the top of it and we'll just throw it down the barrel.
What would happen is one person would stand with it in their hand in front of the barrel. It would be lit and he'd throw it down the barrel. Under no circumstances would they do that today.
This is the 1963 yearbook, and that was where we decided that we were going to build a cannon. This is, that's me right there, And there you are over here at the end, already separating yourself from the rest of us, by the way.
Let me see.
I mean, look
that.
at it. You're over here all by yourself. Like, I'm leaving you. I'm
leaving you. Goodbye.
I'm going to regimental.
It's been nice.
Really? I'm better than the rest of you.
No.
That's George right beside me.
Yeah.
George got involved a little bit late. He helped out in a variety of different ways, but his real contribution was to help me build the little bomblets that we put down in the barrel. And then he started helping Butch bringing back the carriage and the tube from Roanoke, because George was from Roanoke, so he really knew that area very, very well.
George went with me to the foundry and picked up the barrel, and then went to Lorton Reformatory just outside of Washington, D.C. to pick up the carriage. I mean, we were just high. We were just happy. Everything was going well. The project had been completed. It wasn't 10 minutes out of Washington that he pulled the chase car over and came back and said, the president's been shot. Spirits went right down the tubes right then. We got back to campus. We were unloading Skipper, and what would have otherwise been a really exhilarating moment, we just didn't really know what we were going to do.
But we wanted to honor him, and that's why we decided to name it Skipper.
There was no more appropriate thing to do than to name it in honor of John F. Kennedy. Of course, he was captain on the PT-109, and his nickname was Skipper. And we thought, in honor of JFK, we should name it Skipper. There's some small thing that you'll do in your life. You never know what it's going to be. Will change the direction that you're going. In 1963 was the first firing of Skipper. And it was kind of a dream of all the cadets in the Corps. The three people that did it had no idea that today it would still be here and still be such an important part of the spirit of Virginia Tech.
It was less than a week after President Kennedy had been assassinated, and the question immediately came up was, are we going to have this game at all?
When we found out it was going to be played, Sonny and I got together and said, how do we want to do this at the game?
Let VMI do their thing with their little pop gun over there and go, where's your cannon, where's your cannon?
And after they do that, we're going to have 50 freshman cadets pull in Skipper in Romanesque style, aimed it straight for the middle of the VMI Corps.
Ben came rushing down and said, double the charge.
3 charges went into Skipper that day. Truly, to this day, the largest charge that has ever been fired in Skipper.
Without any further ado, I threw that in there, lit this thing, took a step back, and it made a really satisfying sound, a big, big, big boom. This thing went off, scared me to death. And so the VMI football team, which was right in front of us, just disappeared in this huge gout of smoke.
Quite a few hats of VMI cadets blew off of their head. The windows in the press box were vibrating furiously, where all the reporters had to stand up and put their hands on the windows to keep them from vibrating out of place.
And the VMI Cadet Corps, I don't think they said another word the whole day long.
And that was the coronation of Skipper. And by the way, we won the game.
Now, over a period of time, it's become much more professional. As the old brass cannon wore out, they wanted to go with a professional cannon and assign a cadet crew to it. It's become much, much bigger than we could have ever possibly hoped for or even imagined.
Lock it down! All right, everyone get to your perimeter spots. Let's get Jack, John, and Bree if she wants to. Do you want to be on the cannon, Bree? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and load it up. Pretty much what we do for game day is just we meet up over at the Skipper Crew shed. Once we've figured out that we have all the charges, we have all the implements, we have all of our gear, then we'll move over here to Hokie Village. We're going to fire the cannon 3 times here. It's just kind of get the crowd going, get everyone excited and hyped up before the game starts. This is our charge box. This is the official way we transport all of our charges from the powder facility. This is the actual charge. This is what we use for firing. So it's got 8 ounces of black powder contained in here, and the tighter the charge, the louder it's going to bang. All right, so now that we have the charge, we've verified the barrel's clean, everything's good to go in here. Now I give the command load, so the charge is placed in here. And you push it all the way back to the end of the cannon, bring it up a little bit, make sure it's all the way in the back. Now the command pick is given, and he's going to go ahead and pick the charge, make sure he hears it, and it pushes all the way down. Once we go ahead and prime the cannon and we have the 22 blank round put in there, the black powder is exposed so that when we fire the cannon, the 22 round sends off a spark, and that's when the cannon goes boom. Cannon arm! Cannon arm! This cannon's also a lot stronger than the first one. The barrel is thicker. This one is reinforced in the back, whereas the original cannon was not. And also the original cannon was made out of brass, which isn't nearly as strong as what this cannon is made out of. Fire!
There's some small thing that you'll do in your life, you never know what it's going to be, will change the direction that you're going. And with Sonny and I, it was the project that we did with Skipper that inspired us to go in the direction that we both went. I want to give you something now that is from the people that created Skipper. It is a piece of the brass that Skipper contains with one simple word on it, Skipper. They put their heart, their spirit, and the love of this university into that project. And you have carried it well. And so you have the blessing of the old guard, which is what I guess I am now.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on what you're doing. I am so proud of how you've carried yourself. I'm so proud of the tradition that you've continued with Skipper. And I'm so proud that it's become a part of the fabric of the university. So I present you with this plaque, representative of the class of 1963, 1964, 65, and 67, and all of the love and spirit from our classes that went into it to be permanently affixed to Skipper 2.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. This is incredible. Thank you.
Sometimes it doesn't hurt to be a little bit outlandish in your dreams, because we had managed to pull this off.
The amazing thing to me is what it has become as a symbol for Virginia Tech.
We did not realize that we were starting a tradition here.
It's just part of what Virginia Tech is on game day. All through the years, stood the test of time. I've never seen anything like it anywhere else.
For 35 years after I graduated, I never came back to another football game on campus. But I've got to tell you, the first home game I came back to, I had no idea that Skipper was still here. And when I sat down and they brought in Skipper and they fired it, I had tears in my eyes.
Every time Virginia Tech has scored a touchdown in the last 50 years at home, Skipper has been fired. And that is a great tradition.
Every single member of the Corps then is a part of the cannon, and their heart and soul is in that barrel.
It was embraced by, not only by the Cadet Corps, but by the university itself.
All because of that little barrel right there.